Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
You know, I think what I have a problem with, and I think what you probably have a problem with as well, if you've been a listener of the show for any length of time, I think the problem is professional smugness. There's this weird thing that's come about in society. And honestly, you can trace its roots back to Gore Vidal and William Buckley. Professional one-upmanship, being right, and being snarky about being right. But there's a lot of it about in 2018, much more so than there used to be. It's especially prevalent in politics. It's especially prevalent in politics on both sides of the political fence. The left and the right are both extremely guilty of this. People do this thing. Politicians do this thing where they get some stuff confused. People get being snarky and smug and making someone else feel small and doing what they think amounts to proving them wrong. People get that confused with winning. It's not winning. Winning is when you get someone to go, oh, you know, you got me there. I didn't see it your way. Maybe you were right and I was wrong. That's winning. Making someone feel small and then angry and then more determined than ever to come back and find a way to make you feel small. That's not a win. Like I said, people are sort of confused. And I think older people tend to mess it up the worst. Older people tend to mess it up the worst because internet sarcasm is new to them and they don't know how to do it properly. They're not equipped. They do not have their black belt level snark yet. Older people just discovered that little dopamine hit that you get when somebody likes you or likes your post on Facebook or retweets you. And they get all bent out of shape and they're all jumping up and down and they're all like, I'm going to say something outrageous on the internet and people are going to respond to it. This is fantastic. Never in my 65 years of life have I had such a rush. I tell you, what a rush. Who can I make feel small? It's going to make me feel good. It's weird. Old people, like I said, especially tend to get it wrong. Like this dude, Leslie Gibson. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it because it's a microcosm of everything that is going hideously wrong with politics in America today, society in America today. Doesn't matter what you believe, doesn't matter which side of any debate you're on. This is the freaking problem. This is what's going to slow us down. This is what is going to stop us from getting where we need to go, uniting and being happy for a minute or two at a time. This dude, Leslie Gibson, he's, I guess, I don't know if he's ever been a professional politician in the past, but right now he's a Republican candidate for the Maine legislature. And what he did was he attacked two students on Twitter who survived the Parkland High School massacre on Valentine's Day. He called one of them a skinhead lesbian and the other one a bald-faced liar. Now, it looks like this guy could still very well get elected. He's running unopposed at this moment in this year's election for the Maine House 57th District. He said some horrible things after getting all bent out of shape by the fact that this girl, 18-year-old Emma Gonzalez, had more followers on Twitter than the NRA. He's a lifetime NRA member. Apparently, he got all bent out of shape. Gonzalez, in case you missed it, has been making a significant amount of anti-gun noise, anti-NRA noise, and he couldn't hack it. He was new to the internet. He didn't know how to deal with it. He just knew he wanted to do something. He got all hopped up on dopamine after getting a couple likes on Twitter and went, I'm going to do something about this 18-year-old girl. I'm going to go after this 18-year-old girl and I'm going to show her what's up. So he tweeted his little uninformed heart out. He said, there is nothing about this skinhead lesbian that impresses me, and there is nothing that she has to say unless you're a frothing at the mouth moonbat. How many times do you think he wrote that, rewrote it, deleted it? No, there's nothing she has to say unless you're a moon bat? No, that's not good enough. A bat? No, definitely moon bat. Oh, frothing at the mouth moon. Yeah, I've seen Ann Coulter do stuff like this, and she drives a really nice car. This is going to go well for me. Freaking moron. He also said, and this is charming, he also said that she should not be called a survivor because she was, quote, in a completely different part of the school during the shooting. 18-year-old girl. A grown man. One of them significantly more familiar with how to navigate the choppy waters of the internet.
Real radio.
104.1. Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
There's nothing about this skinhead lesbian that impresses me, and there is nothing that she has to say unless you're a frothing at the mouth moonbat. Hopeful politician in waiting, Leslie Gibson, about 18-year-old Emma Gonzalez, a survivor of the Parkland massacre on Valentine's Day. Now, he's since deleted his Twitter account. And like I was saying, this is the problem. This is the problem with people who are professionally smug. Weird thing that has come about in society, especially prevalent in politics, where people confuse being snarky and smug and making somebody else feel small, and they get that confused with winning. Winning is making progress for your argument. Winning is getting you and the people that support you further. If you're an NRA advocate, if you're someone that wants to protect your rights to arm yourself, this is not winning. This is setting your cause back. This is looking like a freaking idiot in front of the world. And I got to tell you, what happened, the show's on in few different cities, but I think we were relatively new in Orlando, Florida, when the Pulse shooting happened. And we were, oh my gosh, new in this town, a new part of Orlando's community when this happened. And we wanted to be extraordinarily careful and respectful. And I found myself thinking about situations like this one completely differently after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. Now, if you're in Orlando, you're very familiar with it. If you weren't there, you're probably familiar with it, but the details might have gotten a little hazy. But it was a situation where I was like, you know what? Everyone is right. There were people who, after the Orlando shooting at Pulse, said this was an act of Islamic terrorism. This was lone wolf jihad. We've got to do something about Islamic terrorism. There were people that said this was an act of hate directed at the LGBTQ community. There were people that said this is about gun violence. This is about people like this man who have it way too easy when it comes to getting a hold of guns to do something like this. And there were people that said, I never want my ability to protect myself and my family taken away from me. The people that were trapped in Pulse nightclub, the police weren't able to help them. They weren't able to get there quick enough. And if ever I, God forbid, am in a similar situation, I really hope my ability, my first and possibly last line of defense, my constitutional right to arm myself isn't taken from me because I see police can't get there. Can't get there in time to do what has to be done to save lives. Maybe my life, maybe the life of people that I love. And I looked at all these different perspectives on the Pulse nightclub shooting. People that were concerned about immigration and Islamic terrorism and gun control and the LGBT community and attacks against it. and people that were concerned about losing their right to defend themselves in a similar situation. And I was like, you know what? Every last one of you is right. Every last one of these arguments is valid. Every last one of the people making these arguments is entitled to feel exactly how they're feeling right now. And it was an incredible illustration of the fact that no matter what you believe, we are all of us in this together. And you're not helping yourself, and you're not helping somebody else if you do this thing that so many folks do, but especially this Leslie Gibson guy, where you confuse being smug, being snarky, feeling like you're right with winning. Winning gets you where you want to be. Winning doesn't enrage people that oppose you and make them want to go after you that much harder. My father, a lawyer who dealt with some really tough negotiating situations, Cold War Russia, doing oil deals in the 70s and 80s. He told me something I'll never forget. He told me diplomacy is the fine art of letting people have things your way. I never forgot that. Because not only is it a way to get where you're going and get the things that you want to accomplish done, but it's also a way to involve other people in those decisions in a way that helps them as well. Like I said, Gibson, who was a lifetime NRA member, took to Twitter to attack Gonzalez after seeing an article in The Hill about the fact that she had more Twitter followers than the NRA. He also said that she shouldn't be called a survivor because she was in a completely different part of the school. We don't need guys like this. Guys like this are holding all of us back. He said that while it was not appropriate to single out the Parkland students, I stand firm in my defense of our constitutional rights. And he did some very ineloquent backpedaling, which we'll discuss next.
None higher, circus in the age, she called me sire. Think you're gonna be the one to take me down and guess again? No. Whoa. Money making, skills on the mic, give me paid every day, and for part of the battle, just rap around, better act what you know. Whoa.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on.
So this dude, Leslie Gibson, running unopposed in this year's election for the Maine House 57th District, quickly realized that he was an idiot, deleted his tweets bashing the students, and he wrote a letter to Emma Gonzalez. You know, the one who he called a skinhead lesbian. And what did he say about her being... There's nothing about this skinhead lesbian that impresses me, and there's nothing that she has to say unless you're a frothing at the mouth moonbat. It's just... what was that line from the Big Lebowski? You don't know what you're talking about, Donnie? Shut up, or something like that. Stay in your lane. Are you aware of this movie, Travis?
I am aware of this movie. In fact, it was just an anniversary of the movie. I can't remember how long of an anniversary, but yes, it was something very similar to almost exactly what you said.
Yeah, so you're not equipped to deal with a Twitter account emotionally or mentally, so just put the phone down, walk away. Shut up. Shut. You're stupid. Cakehole. You're not special. You're not smart. You have an internet connection. Anyways, like I said, he did some very ineloquent backpedaling. After calling her an unimpressive skinhead lesbian, he said, and I quote, "I would like to extend you my most sincere apology for how I addressed you. It was wrong and unacceptable. You are doing work that is important to you. I would like to extend my hand in friendship and understanding to you. See, if you really want to move your agenda of your right to own guns and your right to arm yourself, that would be an awesome way to start. Oh, you're doing work that is important to you. I would like to extend my hand in friendship and understanding to you. That would be a fantastic way to start a conversation with someone that you don't necessarily agree with. Any kind of attempt to make that gap of understanding smaller is probably going to get you where you want to go quicker. Like I said, my dad told me, based on his experience with negotiations in Russia during the Cold War over oil, he said, diplomacy is the fine art of letting people have things your way, making them understand that this is good for all of us. And to do that, you have to build some trust. And he didn't build any trust. Now, if you're one of those folks that are going like, these kids, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand that they're in an adult world. And in an adult world, things are very different from when you're 17, 18. And we're so sorry for what they've gone through, but they just don't know what they're talking about. And if you're one of those people, I'm telling you now that this guy going off half-cocked is not doing you any favors. He's getting you one step closer to having your rights taken away from you by wading in there like the idiot he is. Like I said, he deleted his Twitter account. He backpedaled furiously, rather ineloquently. And I think he said, where is it? Yeah, he said it was not appropriate to single out the Parkland students. What do you think? I stand firm in my defense of our constitutional rights. I am very passionate about protecting our constitutional rights from those who seek their elimination. Okay, fair enough. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But a better way to protect our constitutional rights is to sit down and shut up and understand that you are not equipped to deal with a nuanced situation like this one. Trusting people like this with your inalienable rights, trusting guys like this with your rights, it's like letting a drunk 15-year-old with a learner's permit drive your Ferrari. Unsurprising when the thing gets wrapped around a tree. A guy who is stupid enough and small enough of a person to get his sense of self-esteem by attacking an 18-year-old girl on the internet is not someone I ever want getting a nickel of anyone's tax dollars, no matter what side I'm on. And if you don't feel the same way, I can't help you. But I'm sure you do, because you're still listening. All right, Travis. Shall we take a look at what's going on in the world?
I think we should.
Oh, hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
Weren't you telling me in the past that you have some...
Oh, God. I don't know what you're going to say.
Well...
Whenever you start with something like that, there's this initial panic that just rushes through my body, and I'm like, no. Does that panic ever translate into gotta go to the little boy's room situation?
Usually, yeah. Can I tell them the blessed herb story, or is that too personal?
No, there's nothing. There's literally nothing too personal.
Oh, okay. Well, so Travis and I have been working together for a long time. We both started off as kids at a radio station in Houston, Texas called The Buzz. Both wet behind the ears, both just thrilled to be there. And we had some formative radio experiences. And one of my formative radio experiences was actually meeting Travis Golightly when I went in for my interview and realizing this is what I want to do with my life, because there's zany, just off the wall people that really do make up part of the professional fabric of this industry that I want to be around. And that was that. Do you remember when I came in for my interview? I don't know if you even remember this, but this made me go, I've found my people.
I don't.
I came in for my interview, and the guy who was interviewing me, you're like, oh, he's not here right now, but he'll be back in a second. And I was like, okay. You're like, wait, I'm going to hide under his desk.
Are you serious?
Do you remember? Yeah, you hid under his desk. You hid under his desk, and then he came back to interview me, saw you were under there, but didn't acknowledge it, and proceeded to kick you sharply 3 times.
Oh my God. Oh wow. My memory is so bad. Like, I don't remember any of this.
I do. And I was just like, I was like, this is so cool. These are my people. This is who I want to work with. I was like, hides under the desk guy and Kicks hides under the desk guy. I found my new best friends. This is awesome. But one of my other formative experiences with Travis Go Lightly is I walked in one day, and this is when I was like taking any shift I could get. And I was filling in middays. You were on the morning show. I was filling in middays, 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So I'm walking in. You guys are finishing up. And you're walking around and you're looking a little more robust than usual. And then I hear this sort of like crunchy plastic rattling. And I'm like, what's that sound? And you're like, do you really want to know? I was like, yeah, I really want to know. What's that sound, Travis? And you're like, I'm wearing an adult diaper.
Oh my God.
And you were wearing an adult diaper because there was some sort of cleanse that the morning show was doing, and it was called what, Blessed Herbs. Was that what it was called?
Blessed Herbs, yes. Oh my.
By the way, I wonder if Blessed Herbs still exists, or if you were taking something that like was completely banned by the FDA like 6 months later. Because I feel like if Blessed Herbs was still a thing, you'd still hear radio ads for Blessed Herbs.
It looks like it is a thing, and they still sell the kits. Yes, they still sell the cleansing kits. Oh,
so he was on a cleanse, and he never knew when he might have to run to the bathroom. And apparently, some of the situations were so urgent that you wound up wearing adult diapers. Because you have a delicate and sensitive stomach, right, Travis?
I do. I mean, we discussed this the other night about how I truly can't even make it through the night without at least using the bathroom once, and you've never actually had this situation, which I'm so jealous of, and it's so mind-blowing that you don't wake up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, no, I thought that didn't happen to dudes until we like hit our 50s or something like that. I don't know. I thought
I may be dying.
Well,
I just don't know yet.
I actually, like I said, when I know I have to get up early and I don't want to sleep through my alarm, I don't want to snooze. Like I've got an early meeting tomorrow morning. Like I have to be at the meeting at 9 a.m. So therefore, what I'm going to do before I go to sleep is I'm going to drink a large glass of water, because I know that's going to help me wake up and not sleep through all my alarms, because I have a huge problem sleeping. So yeah, no, I actually rely on water to wake me up in the morning, but it never wakes me up in the middle of the night. Drink a big old tumbler of icy cool water and sleep like a baby until it's time to get up.
So what made you think of the Blessed Herbs situation?
All
out
right,
of curiosity.
Do you ever take I don't know, Beano, or what are the Lactate, or those things that you're supposed to like, hey, if you're lactose intolerant, take one of these before you eat a bowl of ice cream, and you'll be less cumbersome to be around for your friends who have noses that work. I mean, like, do you ever take any of those preemptive anti-acid pills or digestive aids before you eat?
I don't, but I'm not. I don't have lactose issues, and I think you do, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I know. If I eat like a bowl of ice cream, so I just don't eat a bowl of ice cream. Right. But it's weird. It's a very strange thing, and I don't understand exactly how it works, because like ice cream will wreck my stomach. Like I'll be in pain and have to lie down for a while. And I've taken Lactaid, and it's still not so great. If I have a bowl of cereal with cow's milk on it, or that's going to wreck me as well. That'll be like cramping and uncomfortable. But I can eat all the cheese I want and feel great about life. I can eat yogurt. I can eat, so it's just milk, ice cream, and I haven't looked into the science enough. I just don't drink milk, and I don't eat ice cream, and I'm fine, and I make it through life. But I was thinking about your delicate intestines when I heard Hannibal Buress tell a story about taking Pepto-Bismol preemptively.
Lately, I've been taking Pepto-Bismol preemptively. I just take 2 shots of Pepto-Bismol before every meal. I don't know what's going to destroy my body or not. I just got to take, just in case. I don't want to have any trouble. I got a lot of things to do in this day, and this day can't be destroyed by diarrhea. So it's like insurance for your butt. 2-shot deductible against diarrhea. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but you get ahead of the problem.
There you go. Preemptive Pepto-Bismol. Maybe an option that you would like to explore as opposed to the adult diaper situation.
Oh,
if only because the plastic crackling is distracting for your coworkers.
I don't think I've ever preemptively taken Pepto. I think I'm not even joking, and I know I've been around people who have done this. If you're around somebody like really annoying, like, and they just don't stop talking, and you know it's going to give you a headache. Have you ever preemptively taken aspirin? I've done this. I've done it. I can't
predict headaches. I don't know that there's people that give me headaches. I don't know that there's
really.
Yeah. Although, like, I get a headache. You know what? It's got to be a psychological thing more than anything else, because I get a headache on my drive home from work. When I'm leaving the studio, like, I'll open up the door and Millhouse will rush down the stairs to greet me, and it's the most awesome thing. And then he'll bark, and I'll be like, "Oh, maybe a little less. Could we take it down a couple of octaves, dude? Come on, let's And he doesn't do a whole lot of it. He just does one, big welcome bark, like, "You're home. This is freaking awesome. Now throw the ball." And it's always when I walk through the front door and Millhouse greets me and then barks. I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I get a headache every day on the way home." It's a weird thing. So maybe I should pop an aspirin before getting into the car. Maybe it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's a daylight thing. Maybe it's your eyes adjusting, going from the studio to something else that makes it I don't know. So I've never tried taking aspirin preemptively because I know there's a specific person that gives me a headache. I don't find that people give me headaches. I find that I know a person's going to make me angry. I'm like, oh, they're going to do that thing where it makes me hate them, and then I'm going to hate life, and then I'm going to hate myself, and it's all going to be their fault. I'm going to do whatever the hell I can to avoid them. But I've never had a physical manifestation of my dislike for somebody's speaking voice before. You got to tell me, the person that you take aspirin when you know you're going into a conversation with them, is it somebody I know?
I'm actually trying to think of who it was. Because I'm trying to remember. I know I've done it before, but I'm trying to place who it was. I'm wondering if it's somebody that I know. But I remember telling somebody else at the time, I was like, I'm going to need to pop a few aspirin because I already know this is going to give me a headache. And I think it did, even though I popped aspirin. I've got to come up with it now, though.
I find that if I forget to eat, I will get a headache. Like, if I forget to eat and it gets to be a little later in the day and I've had a bunch of coffee, like, coffee when I've got a headache will make that headache go away. But if I haven't eaten and it gets to be like 5:30 in the afternoon, then I know I've got one coming on, and maybe I should take a preemptive aspirin for that. Sadly, there's probably thinking like, oh, Travis and AD are about to talk some more. Quick, get the aspirin.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio. Radio. 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So it's March Madness, and you and I will discuss exactly how much lost productivity there's going to be within the American workplace when it comes to college basketball a little later on in the show. Take a guess. Take a guess at that number, and we'll find out if you're right a little later on. Right now, though, Travis, let's take a look at the events of today. What's going on in the news?
President Trump checked out several prototypes of the border wall yesterday in California.
It was kind of like an episode of The Apprentice in a way. You know, it was like, there he is, pointing at different ones saying, "You're hired, you're not hired." Also not unlike the Miss America pageant. And I think out of habit, Trump walked in on the prototypes while they were still dressing before the competition. Don't mind me. I just own everything.
Oh, wow.
Go on.
President Trump's nominated the first female CIA director.
You know, I like this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this idea. Not knowing anything about the woman, but I think about relationships that I've been in, and maybe this is going to sound short-sighted or knuckle-dragging or Cro-Magnon, but I can think of no one who can see through my garbage faster than a woman. Like, other dudes, you know, other dudes seem to extend you the same benefit of the doubt that they give themselves, you know, when they're completely deceiving themselves and other about who they are, what is the intrinsic makeup of their soul. A woman can see through your crap, meaning me and you if you're a guy. A woman can see through my crap so unbelievably quickly that I would hazard a guess that when it comes to getting the truth out of folks and getting the truth out of a situation, I like this idea. I like the first female CIA director. Absolutely. Just based on that alone, which, like I said, sounds Cro-Magnon and knuckle dragging. We'll see. Do you know anything about this first female CIA director, Travis? Like, what do you know about her? Anything?
I know she's career CIA. So she's been there for a long time. She's coming under a lot of fire because apparently at one point she was over the one of the installations in Thailand that was known for torture during interrogation. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know.
Shock, horror. The CIA violates human rights in foreign countries.
Yeah, I never would have seen that one coming. So it'll be interesting. They don't know if she can actually make it through confirmation or not. So I'm betting that she has some issues, especially with people like Senator McCain, who is although Republican, very, very against torture.
As someone who's been tortured, I think, kind of speaks from experience. I wonder if that has a thing or two to do with it. What do you make of McCain? I know so many. I go back and forth on this guy, where I'm just like, is part of this a personal grudge where you want to tear down everything Donald Trump does because of the unspeakable things he said about you?
Yes.
So sort of like, I like guys that weren't captured. Okay. All right, Bone Spurs. How was your time not serving in the military?
Yeah.
But part of me thinks, you know, he's got a personal axe to grind. And then it's a weird admiration I have, and people hate me for it, and people hate people that do this, but it's a weird admiration I have for people that are willing to cross party lines. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat and you're able to, you know, see things from a Republican's point of view. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican that's able to see things from a Democrat's point of view. Anyone that's willing to step outside the box and do something a little unexpected because they feel in their heart it's the right thing to do has my admiration. Because if you've listened to the show for any length of time, you know that I find the two-party system to be absolute garbage. It's just trying to coax a knee-jerk, non-thinking, reactionary thing out of you that's going to have you just go, oh, no, straight ticket this, straight ticket that, critical thinking. No, I got stuff to do. Oh, what? I've got to fill out my March Madness bracket. Why on earth would I have to pay attention to anything when I just know that I'm going to vote straight ticket, whatever the hell it is, every single time? And so when people set an example of going, you know, I'm part of this party, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to agree with this party. But in this situation, I'm going to have the stones to stand up and say, I can't go with that. I'm going to stand up and have the stones to be the individual that is supposedly celebrated, but not really in this country. The idea of individual liberty upon which this country was founded, not necessarily adhered to all that much. In fact, you get a lot further in America by being a freaking joiner. But people that manage to stand up and exercise their right to individual liberty regardless of party have my instant admiration. In the case of John McCain, like, it might just be an axe to grind, but I have that weird thing where, oh, they're going against the grain. Maybe it's like that punk rock thing in me, that thing that tells the establishment to kiss my ass, and I don't know why I have it. I've always had it. But, you know, people that are willing to go against the grain and stand up, not necessarily, you know, all the time, but when it is right and important to them, I kind of like that. I kind of appreciate that. I'm not sure if John McCain's one of those dudes, but
no, he's not. At least in my opinion. So, no, I could not agree with you more. In fact, I have such a problem with the party system that I truly believe when you go to vote that it should be a federal law that they cannot put what party the person is associated with. Straight ticket voting disgusts me. You should know who you're voting for and what they stand for. The fact that somebody at the polls has an R or a D by their name literally makes me disgusted. However, that being said, I completely agree with you about somebody who's capable of going across party lines. John McCain, I think he has undone everything he did in his sense of serving as a member of Congress. I just cannot stand the man. I will be so relieved when he is no longer a senator. I just do not like him. But that's my opinion. It's just my opinion.
It's funny because the further out from the election we are, the less I remember this. And you just reminded me to be angry about something, which I don't usually need a reminder about. But like the idea that you have to be registered as anything to be a part of the primaries is so unbelievably, intrinsically, fundamentally wrong and un-American. I can't believe that in this day and age that still exists. You registered to be part of the primaries. What? Sign your life away, declare an undying allegiance to something so you can participate in our democracy, and otherwise you don't get to? Bite me.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KBRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is.
The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So how much will college basketball cost the American economy in lost productivity this year? Have a guess. See if you're right. We'll discuss the final number and also how much people are betting on college basketball a little later on in the show. Right now, though, Travis, let's roll through what remains of the news.
The cost of President Trump's military parade could feed every homeless veteran for at least 2 weeks.
We covered the military parade when the idea first got floated out there. And I remember we kicked it around sensibly. We tried to go like, all right, this is supposedly going to be a day of appreciation for our military. We like to appreciate the military. And then just the more we batted the idea around, the less of a good idea it seemed like. And the more it seemed as though like you're going to spend such a phenomenal amount of money that could be spent on actually doing something for the people that have been cast aside like broken toy soldiers that were willing to lay down their lives for our freedom. Homeless veterans. And guess what? We talk about this all the time, and we talk about it because it's important that we don't forget. 1 out of every 3, I think, homeless males in America is a veteran. So when you're saying you could feed every homeless veteran for at least 2 weeks, that's 1 out of every 3 homeless males in America as well for 2 weeks for the cost of Trump's military parade. And we said it then, and I'll say it now. Screw your military parade. Screw the idea that to feel like more of a man, you need to parade a missile down Main Street. That is dumb. That is idiotic. That is self-serving. You saw it happen in France. You went, oh, that's cool. I need one in America that makes me look even bigger and more of a badass than Macron. No. Allow us to appreciate the military. You take this money and you promise that you're going to spend it on helping people. You feed homeless veterans. You go to Bethesda Naval Hospital where people are living without body parts, where people are living without memories of who they are, who their family is, where people are living in some of the most obscene conditions you could ever possibly imagine. You go, you look at those people, you look what war involves, and then you make it rain on them and their families with the money that you are going to spend parading that unsubtle missile down Main Street. and you leave it to us to appreciate the military. You leave it to us to appreciate the veterans. You say, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to do something awesome for the people that serve this country with it. And I would like for you, on this day of appreciation for our military, to gather in Washington, D.C. I'm not buying a plane ticket to go to D.C. to watch you parade tanks up and down the street. F you and F that. But if you're telling me I could go so you could redirect that money to veterans that need it, I will hitchhike to Washington, D.C. I will passionately parade with every last other appreciator of our military, and there are a lot of us. I will donate my time. I will donate my money in a day of appreciation for our military that doesn't involve the pointless, costly expense, the waste of tax dollars that is the propping up of the presidential ego with tanks and missiles in the street. We said this before, but it bared repeating. What else is going on in the world? Ooh, do we have any news about rappers?
It's funny because when this one came up, I was like, something's missing from this headline. And then I was like, oh, no, it's not. Common turned 46 yesterday.
Oh, good for him. Common had a birthday. Celebrated with his brothers. Typical and ordinary. We were very happy to see him turn 46 years old.
I thought it was a typo at first. I'm like, common what? Common. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my God, this is messed up. I'm like, what is common? Common. I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Today is Quincy Jones' birthday.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I remember that he's getting really old. Like, I mean, he's been around for really... Can you Google that? How old is Quincy Jones?
Is he 86? He's something like...
86. I remember thinking that he was really old because he did that absolutely outlandish interview recently where he just spilled all sorts of dirt on all sorts of people, on everyone from Michael Jackson to the Beatles to Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor, and like, you're 85 years old, which I guess he was at the time.
No, he was 84. I was a year off. I got within a year. He's 85 now.
So he's 85 years old, and he's like, why do you feel the need to give an interview like this late in the game? Maybe he just needed to unburden himself. But I remember thinking, wow, he's old. What motivates an 85-year-old to talk smack about Michael Jackson and the Beatles? But there you go.
I think he came back and apologized and said, you know what, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm a little senile right now. I'm 84 years old.
I don't know anything. I'm 85 years old. I said, what about Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando?
That's the nice thing about getting old. And I think there was even a Seinfeld joke at some point about...
Yeah, it was when Uncle Leo was stealing books from Brentano's bookstore.
Yes.
Like, you're supposed to pay for these? Who are you? Well, I need my medication.
Oh, my God. And then Jerry says something to his parents, and he's like, hang on, you steal too? And she's like, what, just like batteries when your father forgets to steal them? Oh, my God, it's so funny.
That's the one where George takes the book into the bathroom and it's been flagged and they make him pay for it and he tries to return it at a different Brentano's. It's unbelievable. Isn't that the one where like he wants them to like scare his Uncle Leo straight? So he tells the security guard, he's like, could you just scare him a little?
Swarm. Oh my God.
So genius. It always comes back to Seinfeld. All right, what else?
All right, Stormy Daniels has offered to pay Trump's lawyer back the $130,000 that she got in her hush money agreement in order to tell her story.
I mean, $130,000 is going to be chump change compared to the amount of cash that she's going to make off of the book, off of the television appearances, off of the pornographic parody that no doubt is on its way. Yeah. She should tell her story in book form. Be a #1 best sweller.
God,
Chief, I'm sorry.
So stupid. Oh. All right, let's quickly move on from that. When China's 8.5-ton space station crashes to Earth, one of the places that it might land is southern Lower Michigan.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8.5 ton space station crashing to Earth.
Yeah.
Something that you would have thought maybe they would have foreseen and done something about. No. Let's let it crash into Michigan. I think they're saying like there could be a lot of money involved in this too. And apparently authorities, people that know about this sort of thing, they've estimated that when it crashes into southern lower Michigan, this 8.5 ton space station could cause literally millions of dollars in improvements. He said, having been to Michigan. No, I love Michigan. Michigan's just parts of it. Yeah. Anyways, go on.
The New York Times ran a feature about an Ohio man who deliberately does not read the news or keep up on current affairs.
I would love to be this man.
I would too.
This man is my new hero. I always go back and forth on this because you want to be informed and then you're just like, are you really... What are you really achieving? What are you really achieving? Here he is in the world of political talk radio going, is there really anything to be gained by reading the news? Like, I don't know. What would I miss out on if I stopped reading the news? I guess there's that, that simmering rage that wakes me up in the morning and makes me want to do stuff. But other than that, what if I just went about my day not knowing really what was going on in the world and was just nice to people? Like, that would probably be better if all of us did that.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
I had that sweet ignorance until this show. I don't know if you remember,
oh, dear.
when you were like, "Hey, you ever want to be on this show?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "But I just want you to know, I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I don't know what's going on." And you were like, "Oh, it's okay." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then once the show started, I was like, "I really need to be informed." I'm like, this ignorant bliss.
Really?
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Man.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's nice to be informed. It's really nice to be informed. But, yeah, ignorant bliss, there's a lot to be said for it.
Well, I mean, look, I don't think you have to be ignorant to be blissful. It certainly doesn't hurt.
It definitely
However,
helps.
I mean, ultimately what we're trying to boil it all down to on this show, and we keep coming back to this over and over again, is the fundamentals that you would act...
It's true.
That you would act under the influence of, even if you didn't know anything about what was going on in the news. Be nice to people. Don't be a jerk. Understand that there's other opinions out there than yours. Hold doors for people. Be polite. Try not to be conceited.
The concepts seem so simple, don't they? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's so odd.
What's the biblical take on this? The golden rule?
Yeah.
There's some good stuff in there. When people weren't getting turned into pillars of sand and whatnot. Or pillars of salt, sorry.
It had its downsides to it.
Do unto others. Cast that bread upon the water. It will come back to you. Be nice to other people. They'll be nice to you. And I think that's the whole goal of the show, to remind people that it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. Ultimately, fundamentally, be nice. Do you ever go see that guy Joel Osteen? You're from Houston. There's no way you get to grow up in Houston without having paid at least one visit to Lakewood Megachurch.
No, I haven't. You know what? Okay, I will take that back. I have been to Lakewood Megachurch, but at the time it was called the Summit, and it was a basketball game that I think I was at. So I've never been there for anything worship other than the worship of a bright orange ball. Apparently, I think actually I'm trying to think. The Summit, yeah, it had to be a Rockets game.
Hey! You leave our president out of this.
The big orange joke. Very nice. Very nice.
I went once.
Did you?
Somebody told me I should go. Yeah. Someone told me I should go. A fellow member of the Houston media, who shall remain nameless, was very taken with that church. And was like, you have to go. It's the most incredible thing. And I got to tell you,
were you moved?
Except for the songs about Jesus at the beginning of the service, I didn't really notice too much of it being like what I thought of as church. You know what I mean? Like, there were the religious songs at the beginning and the end, and the rest of it was sort of like quick little motivational phrases. And I got to tell you, maybe he achieved his mission, because there is one phrase that he used that stuck with me. And I'm not saying I buy into the Joel Osteen hype, but he said, I'll never forget it. It doesn't matter if you're right. If you're rude, you're wrong. And I was like, that's totally true. Right on the money. Bazinga. Oh, hey, we got like 2 seconds left, and we have to talk about how much people waste during college hoops.
Yes.
Overall, The tournament will cost companies $2.3 billion in lost productivity this year. Billion. I don't know. I try and waste as much company time as possible, regardless of whether or not it's college basketball season. So $2.3 billion, and I'm proud to have contributed to that. I'm off to drink company coffee now and surf porn on company servers. Have yourself an awesome weekend.